Take a shot if you had a toxic friend group back in high school. I mean, I don't got a shot glass around me, but like, I did. You know that so many people like yourself, if you're watching this, can relate to this. Welcome to this week's YouTube video. If you're new to my channel, my name is Rue. I will be telling you 2 things that I stopped and started doing to be able to have friends in my life that genuinely support me and constantly motivate me to be the best version of myself. If you haven't checked it out already, make sure you go check out my brand. It's called Ashki Studio, and we are coming out with a 2nd season of our community podcast with insane guests on there. I don't know, I'm just so excited to bring it to you. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it. Make sure you go catch up before season 2 is out. And of course, you go check out our clothing, which is eco-friendly and sustainable. But enough about that. Number 1 thing that really was a game changer for me, and honestly is one of those things that kind of compounds over time, kind of like an investment, is spending time with myself. So I am an only child, and I always looked at being alone as this super negative thing. But when I started intentionally spending time with myself, whether it was taking myself on a coffee run, whether it was taking myself to that restaurant that I've been meaning to try but no one else wanted to go, so I wanted to go try it by myself. Like, stop waiting on people around in your life to go do something. That's like the best way to get started with this, because honestly it can be super intimidating when you want to go spend time with yourself and like, oh, do I do? Did I add so much pressure on it? But like, let's just start easy. What's something that you've been wanting to do that you feel like you've been telling your friends about it, but like you don't want to do it, and you're like, you know what, like, why can't someone go with me? Go do it yourself. Whether, even if it's a trip you want to go on, like that might be on a different level, because if you're just starting out solo dating, but like, you just go do it yourself. And once I started doing more and more of that, I started noticing that I felt so much more clear about the things that I wanted to say no to versus the things that I wanted to say yes to, and these go in hand. So like, the first tip, like essentially the thing I stopped and started doing is I started spending more and more time alone, and I started saying no to more and more things. Like, it sounds simple, but I get it, it's super intimidating. If you've been the people pleaser your whole life, which is probably why you're watching this, then you might have people around you that are used to you always saying yes, never really putting yourself first. Oh, they might be like, what the f? Because they are so used to having a version of you that just says yes. Your existence is not to please other people constantly, and that is a hard pill to swallow, but it is so true, girl. Like, you deserve to be around people that want you to grow and evolve and are not expecting you to meet their personal needs on a constant basis. The people that are gonna get triggered by you saying no to more things are the same people that were never really meant for you. To give you a few ideas on the things you can do for solo dates, you can take yourself to a restaurant, you can take yourself to a bowling alley, you can take yourself to go golfing, go take yourself on a walk, go take yourself to get that pastry you've been wanting to try from that cafe. If you're based in the East Coast, New York, whatever, like, there's so many accounts there, guys, that are for people doing things by themselves, like solo female traveler friendly, or even seeing what galleries are open if you're into that, seeing what bookstores are open. There's so many things constantly happening around you, but when you open your eyes and you go seek them out, then they'll come to you. Then you're gonna be like, oh wow, there's so much to do. But then when you aren't doing that, you're gonna be stuck in this state of like, oh my god, like, I'm all alone, I'm gonna be doing this, da da da, like no one's here. And then when you're on these solo experiences, when you've treated it as something that is like, I am so lucky to be able to have the time and space to spend time with myself like this, because not everyone does. Like, you are privileged as hell if you can spend time with yourself and be able to dedicate even an hour or 2 hours a week to spend time with yourself and just be able to build that relationship with yourself. That is a privilege to have, girl, and it's time to take advantage of that privilege, true, especially if you're like in your 20s. Like, this is one of the only periods of your life where you have the least amount of responsibility, like, other than when you're a teenager, but that's a different period of your life. So go take advantage of it and build that relationship with yourself. I'll give you an example, because I feel like I've been talking pretty vaguely up until now. So when I started spending more and more time with myself, and I really liked like the peace, I started noticing that like I didn't want to do certain things, whereas before I feel like I was pouring the self-love that should have been poured into myself all into my friends. Especially being an only child, I was like, oh my god, like, I love them, I just want to be this amazing friend for them, I want to do this and that for them. But it's like, no, like, you deserve to put that self-love into yourself first, and then if you have a full cup, then you can give to other people. When you start pouring self-love into yourself, of course it's going to take away from other people, but then the people that are meant to be in your life for that initial takeaway, then when you pour out, like, you know who is meant to be there. Another example is, it was like a really good friend of mine, and I, like, for the first time, I actually stood up for myself and tried to set a boundary with her about something, and she reacted so horribly about it. She was like, oh my god, like, how can you do this? You're wasting my time, you're not important to me, da da da. Like, very triggered, kind of treating me like I'm just like not important, when this whole time I've been like trying so hard to pour into her and be this amazing friend while neglecting myself. And the biggest thing to learn from these things is that, again, when you pour that self-love into yourself and you spend time with yourself and then you say no to something, you really see who's meant to be there and who isn't meant to be there. And this is your sign in these situations to actually make decisions that are like, okay, well, like, you're reacting like this and clearly conversation isn't working, so you distance yourself, you take a step back. This is truly the best way to be able to filter out the friends that are meant for you versus the friends that are not meant for you, because good friends want you to prioritize yourself and they want you to be the best version of yourself, because that way you guys can be the best versions of yourself together and be able to level up, okay? Because that's what best friendships are about. Moving on to the next thing. So after you realize, like, okay, these are things I don't want to do, like, these are friends that are kind of looking like red flags right now when I've stood up for myself and I love spending time by myself, or I'm starting to like really get into the groove of it, you have to start trusting your feelings and your intuition. And I know this sounds kind of woo-woo and it's like, okay, well, like, girl, like, what does that even mean? Like, how do I start? And I get it, which is why I'm here to explain this to you. So this is backed by research, but the way that you feel around your friends, and especially the way that you feel after you've hung out with a friend, is so indicative of the way that that friendship is gonna go. Because if you constantly feel drained after hanging out with somebody, if you constantly feel like misaligned, you constantly feel like, oh my god, like, I just like don't like them. Like, truthfully, like, I know that sounds so harsh, but you're okay to grow apart from somebody. You're okay to just like not be in the same wavelength as somebody anymore, and that doesn't mean that you're abandoning them and it's like this huge thing, da da da, but it's like you have to prioritize what's good for you and what matches like where you're going, because honestly, you are going to be the only person that's truly 100% there for yourself in a way that no one else is going to be there for you. No matter how close they are, you are in your own head. You're the only person that knows you in the way that you know yourself. Therefore, you are, like, especially if you're in your 20s, like, you're the most capable of making decisions that are 100% made and designed for you as opposed to anyone else. But the problem is, we are so like brainwashed into feeling like, oh my god, like, they're a good person, like, I should keep them around, they're like this, I should keep them around, like, oh no, that's mean, or like, no, like, you end up gaslighting yourself. And I did this before. I'll give you an example. Going back to that same friendship, like, in the conversation, it was just like a one-way street. She would set boundaries, but then when I set boundaries, that's not okay, right? And so, like, the thing is, that's happened before. It's just up until this point of when I really built that relationship with myself and started pouring self-love into myself, it was something that I just always ignored. I had this feeling the whole time, and this is a common theme I noticed for me in so many friendships of mine or relationships that have ended, where it's like, I felt like that from the absolute beginning of meeting this person, but I just kind of ignored it, and I was like, no, like, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but then it ended up being like that. So save yourself like this time essentially in figuring this out, and when the first or second time that you feel like this, journal about it, like, express your thoughts and feelings about it within yourself, and talk to like maybe another friend about it and find out what it is that's happening. Did they do something that actually bothered you? Is it maybe something internal for you? Is it something that has to do with like the way they're acting, like their personality? Are they someone that talks shit about other people all the time? Are they someone that gossips all the time? I know for me, like, I personally cannot stand people that are judgmental or talk shit about other people. It gives me the ick. So I know that like when I'm around certain people like that, I meet someone like that, it's an immediate red flag for me, and I'm like, okay, no, I'm not gonna deal with that. And the same way for you, I want you to think about this, and I want you to think about what it is that you need in a friendship, and pay attention to your feelings about it, girl, because truly, don't gaslight yourself. You deserve to have friends that make you feel good. I don't know, like, I used to think that, oh my god, you need to work for love, you need to fight for love, you need to like put in so much effort to like get someone to like care about you, etc. But like, you really don't, truly. Like, yes, friendships, relationships, everything takes effort, but it should not feel like bad. Like, they're supposed to be fulfilling. They're supposed to be something that fills your energy cup, and you're supposed to feel positive and loved and good, and especially with the people that are closest to you in those friendships. And I just think that if you're not feeling like that, you should pay attention to those feelings, and you should either A, have a conversation, or maybe distance yourself. Truly, someone can be an amazing person but they're just not for you. Just because someone is a good person does not mean that they have to be in your life. That is a big thing that I learned, and I just realized that there are a lot of good people, and there will be good people that you have to cut off. Like that friend I mentioned, she was a good person. It's not like there's something like insanely wrong with her. Was she a right fit for me? Absolutely not. Was I a right fit for her? Probably not, honestly. She probably felt some type of way about me too. And that's just to say, like, not every like a thing, that every feeling you have about a friendship or how you want it to go or the way that you feel means that this person is like this big bad horrible person, you have to cut them off, da da da. Like, no, like I don't know, I just think that like there's not much black and white, but what is black and white is your feelings about this. Like, you get to like make decisions that are based on what's good for you, and stop feeling bad about it, please. Pay attention to your feelings, girl. That being said, we're gonna wrap up this video. Thank you so much for being here. I love you, and I hope that this video helped you go and like a better step for yourself, because honestly it took me such a long time to get to where I am when it comes to really being able to put myself first. So if I can share any of the lessons that I learned, I really want it, and just be able to help you out and also level up in even lesser time than I did. I love you. Bye.